Yo, what's up guys, it's Students here with a new review on the top 5 best mousepads for CS2. So CS2 just released yesterday for a majority of people, but it's been out for a while. And seeing all the different mousepad options that are played from your most pros or top streamers really interested me, and I wanted to make a video kind of rounding up the top 5 pads in my opinion and how they will be beneficial for your CS2 gameplay. So just to get some background on me, I have close to 15,000 hours on FPS titles, and I've been in the mousepad enthusiast space for about 6 years now, and I've been actually producing my own mousepads for 3 years. So I have a lot of experience on what mousepads are best for and what brands you can really trust in the quality and performance of the mousepad for the price tag. Just to be clear, I will not be putting any of my products in this video, so there will not be any bias towards any companies, and I do not have any affiliated links or connections with these companies. So let's get right into the video. So let's get right into the last place contender in this lineup, and it's the GSRSE Rouge. And this is a balanced type of cloth pad with no stitched edges and a very mediocre base. But it does come in at $35, and it is often used by a lot of pros in the CSGO scene. And for good reason. It's a very good surface. It's a more of a balanced cloth pad. While you're still going to get a lot of control, you will get that little bit of extra speed when you need it. And another big benefit is it's pretty consistent overall, and it's decently humidity resistant. So if you're in a hot or humid environment, you're going to be often experiencing some type of sticky experience with some pads, and just overall a slower pad when you're in a humid environment. So this pad will kind of fight against that issue if you live in like a swamp environment. So that is one big benefit about using this pad, is you're going to be much more consistent in comparison to the competition. But for the price and the overall quality you're getting, this is why it's in last place. I believe it should have stitched edging with a larger size. And for the price of $35, it's a bit disappointing since you're kind of getting not the best features in a pad. But I will say they also just released the GSR2, which is a bit of a slower pad. If you did want to check theirs out, it's been a pretty popular choice for CSGO. But this is why it's in last place for me. The GSR Rouge is overall not my favorite pad in this list. Now let's get into the fourth contender of this lineup. It's the Artisan Zero. This is one of the most praised pads in the last 5 years, as it should be since the quality is amazing. The price tag does come in at $65 shipped to the USA, but that might vary depending on where you live in the USA or what country you are from. These are made in Japan, so do realize where you're buying from. That could affect your location and the shipping price overall. But this mousepad was one of the most praised mousepads in the last 5 years, as it should, since the quality is fantastic from the stitching, base, and the overall surface feel of this pad. It is a control pad with a bit of a slower dynamic friction in comparison to the Rouge, but it still has a similar speed to that pad, but overall the quality is a lot better in comparison to the Rouge. But there is one issue I found with this pad. I used to have a very hairy cat and dog around my setup constantly 24/7, and with that, a lot of the hairs would get stuck within the weave of the pad, and overall, the durability of the pad would get very dirty and inconsistent very fast. So I would have to clean this pad almost every month or 2 months, which was pretty annoying to do, and almost after a year, it was kind of unusable to use with a slow spot in the middle of the pad. But do notice if you're using a soft or a mid zero, it will last you a long time. For example, I had a mid zero and it lasted about 2 years after washing it every few months, and that survived just well. So the extra soft base will affect the long-term durability of this pad. And in my preference of this pad, I do prefer soft or mid. I had all 3 softnesses, extra soft, mid, and soft. But I found soft and mid were the most consistent with this surface, especially since it is a control pad. But it's still a great option, all 3. If like mid or soft aren't in stock, just get extra soft, but I do recommend getting soft or mid. They also have a orange colorway, which I've heard it's slightly more textured and slightly faster. So if you're interested in that color, go ahead and get that one too. But the reason it's at the 4th list, I'm just not a big fan of the durability, and it's slightly more textured in comparison to like the Rouge or other pads I'm going to share on the list. So this is why it's in 4th spot currently. So let's get right into the 3rd spot of this video, which is the Venus Pro. This pad is often overlooked by a lot of enthusiasts, but in my opinion, it's a great balanced pad that is great for attack shooters like CSGO, Valorant, and CS2, of course. And this pad is a bit more textured than the previous pads, since those are more traditional cloth pads. This has a bit more textured feedback to the skin, so if you do kind of like having more texture on your mouse pads and overall feedback when you're playing, I would recommend this mouse pad. It is a bit smoother in comparison to other jagged type of weaves out there, but once again, it's on the slower side in comparison to something like the Hyate Atsu by Artisan. Even though those are quite compared most often between the Venus and the Hyate Atsu, in my opinion, they feel pretty different. And the Venus is slower, slightly smoother, and just has a different texture feel. But I do understand where they're coming from, but I would recommend the Venus Pro over the Hyate Atsu because in my opinion, I'm just not a big fan of the surface on the Hyate Atsu. But this pad does come in at only $37 for the Pro version. That does not include shipping, but it is discounted heavily in comparison to their Saturn Pro. So for the price tag, I believe this is a fantastic pad. It also should last a very long time considering the weave and overall feel of this pad. People have said there is like a break-in period where it slowly breaks down into a new state, a new feeling, slightly slows down. But in my opinion, after that slow down state, it will remain consistent, and it's an option out there for people wanting a more of a textured, hybrid, slower, middle ground pad for most games like CSGO. So for only $37, I would highly recommend this. The base is pour-on. It's 3.5 millimeters extra soft. Since it is only 3.5 millimeters, it does bottom out a bit quicker, so it doesn't really feel like true Artisan Extra Soft, but I believe they have new versions coming soon of the Venus Pro with different softnesses and at 4 millimeters thick, so definitely go check out their pads. The Venus Pro is one of my favorite pads out there right now. Okay, now let's go into a very underrated mouse pad that just recently released, and I put a lot of time into this pad. And there's not a lot of noise about it, so that's why I wanted to discuss this in my top 5 mouse pads for CSGO, because I believe this is a fantastic control pad that's very new to the market. So it's the Tang Dao by ESP Tiger, and you can find this on Addis Inc. It's part of their Shanghai series, and it also comes in black and pink, which is pretty cool. I personally love their pink pads. I do have a pink version of this, but most of my time is on the black version because that's just what matches my setup. But it's cool to have 2 color options for this pad right here. And it does come in at $50, which is kind of steep in my opinion, but you are getting a authentic Rogers pour-on base on a fantastic surface. I do wish it was slightly bigger, but the size works for me, and I think it would work for most people out there if you're looking for a square mouse pad. This mouse pad is very similar to the Zero, but I can already feel it's slightly smoother, but is similar in speed. One thing right away, I don't see any hairs getting stuck within the weave or durability issues getting dirty fast. I had this for about a month of heavy use, and it's almost brand new. So one great aspect of this, it's going to be very consistent and very durable. And I do like how it has slight feedback in texture, kind of similar how to the Zero is. So next pad will be the Saturn, and the Saturn is a bit smoother than this pad right here. And this one's a little bit faster than the Saturn, around the same speed of the Zero. So I think this is a great control mousepad that's easily able to get, considering it can be difficult to get a Zero from the Artisan website sometimes, depending where you live. While this one, if you live in the United States, it should be very easy to get this. And for $50, you can't really go wrong with the quality you're getting here. So now to the number 1 spot, the Saturn Pro. I swear this is the holy grail of control pads in my opinion. From the surface, pour-on base, the stitching, it's just an overall best contender in quality, feel, and performance in this list so far. And it does come in at $50, which is on the steeper side considering that does not include shipping, but it's worth the investment when you're getting such a good consistent control pad, in my opinion at least. The surface is slightly smoother and is slightly slower than the Zero, but in my opinion that's where it shines. Since it's smoother on the skin, I have less friction when swiping my arm left to right, and this will be especially important for arm aimers. But overall, just is more comfortable to use for long-term sessions. Don't get me wrong, the Zero works perfect as well, but from the durability as well, the Saturn just outlasts the Zero in every way. Also noting, I don't have any hair issues getting to the weave. It's overall a very clean pad. It does over time kind of slow down and get dirty like every other pad, but you just gotta wash it and it feels brand new after the wash. So for $50 and how easy it is to get this pad and the amount of options and revisions they are making each production, it just shows that this pad is going to be here for the future, and it shows how many pros are picking this up today. At every tournament, more Saturn Pros are being used, and that's for a good reason. So thanks guys for watching this video. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe and like, and all the links for all the products will be in the description below. So thanks guys, peace out.